Hello everybody, welcome to Marvel Future Fight here on G4G. I am your host, Napalm Dawn, and today we're talking about the uniform upgrade system. Is it a colossal dumpster fire? So, in case you are only mildly aware of it, or want to know more about the uniform system, I'm not going to really talk that much about is the uniform upgrade system itself a dumpster fire. More so one particular aspect of it that I noticed today on a spreadsheet that will be linked in the video description. So, what a uniform upgrade system is that when you have a hero that has an alternate uniform that can be purchased, you can now upgrade the uniform. So that makes the uniform even better than just the stock character. Now, if you remember in Marvel Avengers Alliance, uniforms were both positive and negative. Generally, not true for Hyperion and some others, but generally, if you had a uniform, you gave up a ISO slot, but then gained some other thing that might be good. You had to then weigh if the uniform was worth the loss of the ISO slot. Some people were so good right out of the gate, they could have never needed a uniform, like, say, Spitfire. Others definitely got better with uniforms, like the one Hawkeye uniform that gave him the chance to follow up on his arrows with more arrows. Iron Man turning into Hulkbuster. I mean, there were definitely some people who got considerably better and were worth the loss of the ISO slot. Star-Lord compared to, or Comic Lord compared to Movie Lord. In Marvel Future Fight, it's different. In Marvel Future Fight, you get a flat increase to stats, and then usually something good for an ability. It's almost always positive. 99% to 95% of the time, it's worth it. And the flat 10% is certainly worth it. Especially when somebody only has one. Like Moon Knight, for example. Now, my Moon Knight has been upgraded one time. I did it as a test in the last video. So, his attack and defense went up. And what was required was some of his bios, the class Nornstone, and the upgrade bento boxes. But it also requires the presence of another character's alt suit. In this case, Silk. This isn't a bad setup at this tier because Silk obviously is only going to get better being in her alternate uniform. And Silk is a pretty high-powered, high-popularity character. You're probably using Silk for stuff, and if you're using Silk, you're getting the suit. But, you know, if something required Amadeus Cho or Happy Hulk, he's not really used for a whole lot, so you might be forced into getting a suit for him just to upgrade somebody else. And you're like, God damn it, I don't use Happy Hulk, Amadeus Cho. So, I have to get a suit for him just to get a suit upgraded for somebody else, as an example. So, the uniform upgrade system already is splitting the community a little bit. Higher powered characters, or higher powered players, and I'm not saying whales, but more advanced players think the uniform system is absolutely amazing. And think that it is a great thing and is one of the best ways of upgrading a character. So, of course, you have gear, ISO sets, and rolling appropriate ISO sets, Uru slotting, skill upgrading, obelisk upgrading and having the correct obelisk, and now we have the uniforms, and of course tier 1 and tier 2. So it is of the belief now that the uniform upgrades are probably one of the best ways of pushing a character into the stratosphere in terms of their stats and, more appropriately, damage. So people are certainly going to want to do these things, especially for some of their carry tunes. Like Silk on a speed day, Black Widow on a speed day, Elsa, Sharog, Doctor Strange. I mean, let's take a look at Doctor Strange over here. If you got him and you knew you were going to complete your Doctor Strange, you pretty much got his alternate. You absolutely got his alternate. To get his alternate going further, I need to have She-Hulk, which I don't have. Now, here's a great example of where this irritates me a bit. I don't ever use She-Hulk for a lot of stuff. I'm hearing now that I kind of really should. But even if I was just using her, I certainly wouldn't have gotten her a fucking uniform. But now, in order for me to upgrade a very popular, very handy, very successful character, I need to get a suit for She-Hulk. That suit right now is going to cost me 1.25 crystals. 1.25k crystals. That's kind of expensive. You don't see too many, like, people pretty much, they got Strange and they went right to the alternate uniform. Now, I discovered something today on this spreadsheet that really makes me think this is now turning into a flaming hot dumpster fire. I noticed it first with Maestro, but apparently I missed it right from the very first character listed. So a link to this spreadsheet will be in the description. It's a Google Doc. It's safe. There's no active code here or anything. Captain America, if you are running the Age of Ultron uniform and you want to keep bumping it up, you need to have Secret Wars 2099 at the end. This is bad. This one's not the worst because it's at a very high tier. But let me show you Maestro Hulk. And this is where I first noticed it. Maestro Hulk at rank 3 needs World War Hulk. What the hell is that? What a tune looping in on itself? What the fuck is that? And you will later see this with Ghost Rider. So we're going to stick with Maestro Hulk and Ghost Rider as the big two examples of this over here. Now, you may have organically gotten stuff for Ghost Rider throughout the years of the game. You may have been using Ghost Rider, really, really like him. He's a favorite in the comics. You love Ghost Rider. You use him for a whole lot. Maybe he's a super high-powered tune for you. And you're like, well, the suit's just going to be better. So the first thing you did was get the 70s Classic when it arrived. And then a later update brought you the Inhumans one. And you're like, oh, that's cool. That's a car. He looks like a detective, like a noir detective or something. And then you upgraded cheaply at 750 again. Well, that's not a bad situation for you now. But if you decided later on, like me, I did not organically evolve my Ghost Rider. It was a one-time deal of, you know what, I'm starting to hear some stuff about Ghost Rider. Maybe I want to do a fire team at some point in time with Satana and Damon. Maybe Red Hulk and Angela. Oh, he now has a tier 2. It looks pretty good. I want to maybe bump up a Ghost Rider. What am I going to do? I'm just going to get this one. Nobody ever runs 70s Classic. So I'm going to go right into car Ghost Rider because I see it a lot. Well, guess what? If I really love this Ghost Rider and I really want him to be the best he can be, insert best around Karate Kid music over here. I now have to go buy a uniform that I skipped because maybe I decided I didn't want that one. Or it doesn't touch an ability that I think is hot shit. For example, on that one, Captain America, I'm going to use as an example on that one. My cap has been a lady cap for a long time. The reason being is that Lady Cap at the time said you get more ricochets off of shield strike? Was it shield throw? I was just like, oh, that seems cool for AoE packs. That's the one that I want to go for. Well, now, I mean, this isn't true of 2099, but if I had gone with Age of Ultron instead, or the one that always brings in Bucky, and everybody's like, oh yeah, clearly the one who brings in Bucky's the best. I mean, it's another hero out on the field for you. That's so amazing for him, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden you discover that you need like Lady Cap to upgrade the one that you picked because you thought that was the awesome one. Yeah, alright, so yeah, Civil War is the one that gets Bucky to come in. If you look on the spreadsheet and see that Lady Cap is required to upgrade this one, that's just dumpster shit right there. I mean, that is raging hot dumpster fire. And that is a ridiculous expenditure of money. To come along and say, all of a sudden, like, oh, I'm really in love with my Cap now. I really want to do stuff with him. I think it's time I get him a suit. And you pick one out of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 suits. You might be getting into Indiana Jones territory and discovered you chose poorly. And melt your skin away into a pile of bones. And to me, I think that is straight up ridiculous. Now, if you're looking at a hero with so many suits, like Black Widow, or Captain, or maybe even like Iron Man to a certain degree, and one of those suits requires another of the suits, you can maybe kind of forgive it a little bit, and you're like, well, you know, it's Black Widow, she's got 62 fucking suits, it was bound to happen eventually. But when you look at somebody like Ghost Rider and Hulk, who legitimately only have 2 other suits out of their stock, you're like, did you really have to do that? Did you really have to loop one of the uniforms back in on another? Seriously? You know, and I mean, I'm not even going to pass judgment on high-powered heroes requiring shitty uniforms that nobody in a million years picks, or a relatively popular character from maybe mid or low tier people requiring a super character like, let's say, Doctor Strange. That's different. But when you have a character looping in on itself, what the ever-loving fuck are you doing, Netmarble? I really question that. Like, another one, War Machine was another one that I noticed that stood out to me. I mean, there's a few. Alright, War Machine, Iron Patriot. He needs, later on, Avengers Initiative. So, War Machine needs another War Machine. What are these people doing? To me, that example that I gave in a group where I was talking about this is, I bought a car, and in order for me to park the car in my garage, I need to buy another car. What? I only have a 1-car garage. I want to put my Camaro in the garage, so I have to buy a Mustang now? But I'm never going to use the Mustang. It's going to sit off to the side and rust out in the elements. Or you walk into a McDonald's, I say, I want a Quarter Pounder meal. Well, you can only buy the Quarter Pounder meal if you buy the Chicken Nugget meal. Well, I'm not that hungry. I don't want a chicken nugget meal. Well, you have to buy the chicken nugget meal, and otherwise you're not allowed to eat the quarter pounder meal. That you could at least take home and refrigerate, and maybe eat the next day, or like, all right, well, I'll give this to the kids or something. But when you choose one suit over another, and just one out of two, and now discover that you have to have the other one in order to make your current one the best around. Nobody's ever gonna make you spend your fucking crystals, Netmarble. I I'm sorry. Absolute dumpster tier, hot tire fire bullshit over here. It's petty anti crap, and I'm really surprised Netmarble is pulling this off, and I'm surprised they're caking this crap into a system that is already dividing up the community a little bit. I mean, again, it's one thing for suits to interact with each other and you can pass judgment on some of those interactions, but looping in on itself, I mean, can you imagine if they tried to say Spydock required Capdock or Capdock required Spydock? You're like, MODOK is trash tier to begin with. You're telling me I have to totally shine up my hot fucking turd to make it a better turd? I really don't, I question what Netmarble is doing with this. And everybody is clamoring for uniform updates here. Or uniform sales and everything. Because 1.25k just to complete somebody else new is a lot. And and when some even requiring people who have the new uniforms, like the newest uniforms and everything, really just shitty on Netmarble's part over here and very cash grabby. So let me know what you think down below. If you want to talk about the uniform system as a whole, do it. If you want to talk about the revelation of tunes requiring, or, suits requiring other suits in the same tune, the same hero character, really talk about that and let me know what you think about that, and if you agree with my opinion or not. And if you're like a low to mid-level player, tell me how this impacts you. And if you're a super high-level player and you're defending the system, talk about that too. Just, let me know what you think. Peace out, everybody.